We tried doing it on a laptop a couple of years ago, and it
No
did
dice.
not work. Yeah.
Feel you. Ooh, this is awesome.
What's up, War Report family? We're back for like the 8th time live from day 3 of SEC Media Days. It's your boy Mike G here with the War Report. Joining me is what I hope will be a frequent guest on the show, JD Picket, analyst from On3 Sports. JD, we've been here all week, you and I. We've heard a lot from these coaches, but Kalen DeBoer took the stage for the first time as Alabama's head coach. What did you hear? What didn't you hear from him? I got a chance to ask him about his defense in the SEC. And he said, we do what we do, and we think it's going to work.
Yeah.
Is it going to work?
We're about to find out.
Yeah.
I mean, the concerning thing for me is just how much new production they're going to have step up. Like, they got a lot of dudes with a lot of stars next to their name.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, they haven't played in the SEC quite as much as maybe they would have liked to have coming into this season, your first year as head coach. But it's hard to argue with the resume. I mean, 104-12 as a head coach, won everywhere he's been. Went to the national championship last year with Washington with, let's just call a spade a spade. He's going to have a better roster at Alabama for a long time. So, you know, I think it'll work. To what degree remains to be seen. Like, I think Alabama will be consistently a 10-win team. Will they surpass that frequently? Will they be that 12-0 all the time? Probably not as much as Nick Saban, but I think it's going to be a good program. And I think the first day, or the first season rather, is going to tell us a lot.
Is Kalen DeBoer ready for his first Iron Bowl?
Yeah.
Do you think that he gets what this is going to be, what this rivalry is?
He's going to have, I think the fact that it's at the end of the year maybe like ramps it up a little bit.
Yeah,
for
for sure.
Not injured hair, which is huge. So that's going to probably favor him in that regard, because you go play at Auburn, like, who knows what's going to happen. So does he know what he's signing up for? I don't know. But I think one thing that's interesting about him is, like, doesn't he seem so normal? Like, if he wasn't wearing Alabama gear, wouldn't he be like, you're like, oh, that guy probably sells insurance, and I'm sure he does a great job. But like, it's almost too normal to be an SEC head coach, which is it's just funny, man. But
his mannerisms on stage are very different from Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And we'll see what his approach to the Iron Bowl is. But speaking of the Iron Bowl, let's jump to Auburn.
Love it.
Hugh Freeze is showing up tomorrow, man, and he's got to tell the world what his program is going to be in year 2. Now, we heard a lot in year 1 about, I didn't have recruits and I didn't have this guy and that guy. Well, you went out and you got guys, but you decided to stick with Peyton Thorne.
Yep.
A lot of Auburn fans thought that would be a guy that they replaced. They did not.
Yep.
I'm on the train of believing that Peyton Thorne is going to be closer to 2021 Peyton Thorne than 2023 Peyton Thorne. What do you think, man? Which Peyton Thorne do we see?
I agree. I think he's a lot closer to that, because last year, we talked about this, I think, on a previous show, to miss those 15 spring practices and then just say, hey, go win us some football games in the SEC. Like, that's
big.
It's tough. That's a tall task to ask for, even with a guy who's played a lot of football like Peyton Thorne. So I think something that stuck out to me last year was how athletic he was. Like, I didn't know he could scoot like that. Like, when he got around the corner against Georgia,
he's got wheels.
Like, okay,
he's got wheels.
Right, he's got a little bit of juice. He can kind of get around. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you don't see guys like him take off around the corner. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what he is in this upcoming season. And I think long term, whether it's Peyton Thorne or whether it's any number of quarterbacks that Hugh Freeze is going to have in the future, like, they're going to have a guy at quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that, too, speaks to Hugh Freeze and his pedigree, and also they got a walkie-talkie in the helmet now, which probably helps. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, he's the quarterback guru, so, you would think that would be a position that Auburn would solidify for the future. Auburn's always been one quarterback away from a championship, it feels like. 2004, when Jason Campbell made his jump, undefeated. There's officially no champion from that year because USC had to vacate that title, and Oklahoma can't get it because they got blown out 55-19. But there's 13-0 Auburn, which changed the landscape of college football. No SEC championship after 2004 was going to miss the playoff or the championship game. That's how instrumental. What a snub people felt like that was after the fact. But, after that, Cam Newton, Nick Marshall, Jarrett Stidham, those were all guys who had Auburn in the championship conversation, right? Peyton Thorne has to be that guy that bridges this, right, to him getting to that championship quarterback?
Yeah, I think he needs to be able to not be the governor. Like, I think as long as he's able to maximize Cam Coleman, Keandre Lambert-Smith, like, he can't be the reason why you don't win football games. So I think the good news for Auburn fans is I'd be surprised if they went out and asked him to win a whole lot of football games. I think he will be a cog in the machine. I don't know if he will be the engine in the whole machine. So there's something you're going to ask him, obviously being quarterback, but I don't think it's the same requirement of what you asked of Cam Newton or what you asked at times too of Nick Marshall with how dynamic he was.
Yeah, I think a lot of questions are going to be asked tomorrow about Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
Right? Look, I have seen clip after clip on Twitter of people playing the new NCAA football game with Cam Coleman as their franchise guy. Utilizing him, in my opinion, is going to be key to how he recruits that position in the future, right? What do you see in the future for him? And, because I'm sure he's going to get this question, but, he's got to get 100 targets next year, doesn't he?
Right? Has to. And I think a big part of that, too, is how much does Keandre Lambert-Smith maybe take some attention off of him? How much does the run game open things up for him in the RPO game? So I think if you ask him to be your go-to guy from day one, that's asking a lot. But I think he's absolutely a guy that as the season wears on, as he gets more comfortable in college football and a college offense, it's a matter of when, not if, so much with him. He's a guy with all the physical traits that we saw in the spring game. He's going to be a dude they have to feed the football to, and if he's not the number one option, has to be the number two option.
Yeah, I think Keandre Lambert-Smith does open some things up for him, right?
Yeah.
You've got a guy who was almost a 700-yard receiver. He had more catches than any Auburn receiver had targets last year. So, ultimately, you've got to throw the football at a higher rate. Peyton Thorne had the lowest attempts of any quarterback in Hugh Freeze's tenure as a head football coach anywhere. So we think that has to change.
I would think so, and I wonder, too, how much that'll change with Hugh Freeze kind of getting the sticks to the offense. Because I'm sure, you guys are dialed in when it comes to all things Auburn. Felt like maybe there wasn't a perfect marriage between Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery, and when you got two captains.
Yeah. They were 80% of the way to divorce when he got here.
It's tough. And I think if I'm an Auburn fan, the encouraging thing is last year's, I think they averaged somewhere in the range of 25 a game. Lowest of Hugh Freeze's career. So if we're trusting the trend, that's going to be the outlier for the long haul with him and what they are offensively.
Let's close with this, JD. What's the perfect message from Hugh Freeze tomorrow on that stage? What are you telling the world about your team?
If I'm Hugh Freeze, I am not putting the cart before the horse and promising the moon, but I am making sure everybody knows, hey, we feel good about us. We feel good about what we're doing internally, and just watch what happens on the field. I'm sure they're going to do their best to not make headlines and kind of just try and say the right things and all that, but I think as an Auburn fan, and probably something you would attest to as well, when you hear your head coach at the podium, there's some unquantifiable factors you're looking for. Hey, does he look confident? Does he look relaxed?
Yeah.
Does he look poised? This time last year at Media Days, we were all saying, is Bama having a fall off? Is Bama's who they have a quarterback? And Nick Saban took the podium just cool as a cucumber, like a guy with a winning hand that he was sitting on, and fast forward the tape,
Made the
won
playoff.
the SEC.
Yeah. Well, we hope. I think Auburn fans hope that Hugh Freeze is going to be able to pull off something in the near future. JD, I want to thank you for joining me here live from day 3 of SEC Media Days. I'm looking forward to talking to you after we hear from Hugh Freeze. Guys, that's it for another great segment here in Dallas, live from SEC Media Days. We'll be back later with even more content, believe it or not. We put out 20 pieces today. But if you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report, every social media platform, TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.